If you ask most people what their favourite command is, undo is usually the answer. Let's face it, we all make mistakes, and when we do, undo is a great way to put things back the way they were. In this lesson, we'll look at the workflow behind the undo command. On my screen, I have some geometry that represents a small chest of drawers. Now, to look at undo, we first have to do something. So I'm going to make some changes to this geometry. I'm going to convert this from a 6-drawer cabinet to a 3-drawer cabinet. I'll start by selecting the geometry I no longer need, and then I'll press delete to remove it. I will then launch the extend command. I'll grab the inside right edge as my boundary object, and I'll press enter. I will then create a crossing window to select the drawer geometry and project it over to meet that edge. When I'm finished, I'll press enter. Let's do one more thing. I'd like to remove the legs from this cabinet. For that, I'll launch the trim command, and I'll select the bottom edge as my cutting object, and I'll press enter. I will then create a crossing window to select this vertical line work and trim it off. I'll press enter when I'm finished. Finally, I'll select the geometry that's no longer needed, and I'll press delete to remove it from the file. Now let's simulate an error. I'm going to select the hardware on the right side and I'll press delete. I didn't mean to do that, I'd like to put that hardware back. To do that, I'll use the undo command. Undo can be found in the quick access toolbar. The icon looks like a backwards facing arrow. Before I click this, notice that there is also a forward facing arrow that is currently greyed out. We'll talk about that in 1 second. To launch undo, I'll click the icon. Note that you can also launch undo by using the keyboard shortcut Ctrl+Z. And when I do, AutoCAD backs me up in time 1 step, and my hard work comes right back. Also note that since I've launched undo, the forward-facing arrow is now active. This icon represents redo. Redo allows me to move forward in time 1 step. So if I click this icon, the hardware goes away again. It's important to note that a redo can only follow an undo. To restore my hardware, I will once again click the undo button. And when you use undo, usually you'll probably click it 1 time. It is important to note that you can click it as many times as you want and back up to the point originally opened the file. Notice that each time I click the icon, I can back up 1 step. To go a little faster, open this menu and then you can select the specific command that represents how far you'd like to go back. In this case, I'll go back to where I first opened the drawing. I'm sure you'll agree that undo is a command that you can't live without. In its purest sense, undo is a tool that protects us from ourselves.